So guys, I've not been hiding the fact that I was majorly disappointed by the M2 iPad Pro, so much so that I decided not to review it. But because it was such a disappointment, it made me reevaluate the current iPad lineup, and it made me realize exactly how much I appreciate my iPad mini 6. In fact, it's my favorite iPad of all time. Let me explain. Let's ramble.
Hold up, place go wild when I pull up. They all on me like it once.
Hey, what's up guys? It's great to see you all again. And if you're new here, I'm Patrick, and this is where I ramble about tech and other stuff. So guys, if you've been with me on this YouTube journey for a little bit, it will not be a surprise to you that I love this iPad mini. When it was announced at last year's Apple event, it was completely unexpected, or at least it was to me. And the thing is, I never really showed much of an interest in an iPad mini. This whole channel was all about the iPad Pro, but for some reason, when I saw it at the Apple event, I forgot all about the iPhone 13, which was about to be launched, and I was completely obsessed with this new iPad mini. I just had to have one to review on the channel, and boy was I right, because as soon as I started using it, it was the beginning of a love story, one that is still ongoing today. Now, newer iPads have come out in the meantime. We saw the launch of the iPad Air 5, the 10th generation iPad, and of course the M2 iPad Pro, and I fully expected the iPad mini to take a backseat as we explored these new iPads. Funnily enough, the opposite happened. In this flurry of new and existing iPads, things have become progressively confusing. There's a 9th generation iPad, there's the more expensive 10th gen iPad, we have the iPad Air 4, the iPad Air 5, and of course the M1 and M2 iPad Pros in 2 sizes. Even us tech reviewers are having a hard time understanding the use cases for each of these tablets. I can only imagine how confusing it must be for non-techies. This iPad mini leaves no room for interpretation. What this is an actual tablet. Nobody has any unrealistic expectations of it. It doesn't try to be something it's not. This isn't some weird tablet computer hybrid, nor does it want to be. There's no room for confusion. The iPad mini is unique in the sense that it's the only current Apple device that is truly and only a tablet. And that is exactly what I like about it. We've gotten so lost in specs and over-the-top features that we've lost track of what really matters, and that is usability. I mean, the real value of a product to me is how often I'm actually gonna use it. And while my iPad Pro is gathering dust more than it's actually being used, this iPad mini is in my hands all day, every day. In fact, as soon as I get into my studio in the morning, I think I can say with some confidence that I use it even more than my iPhone. It starts with me turning on all the lights in the studio using my iPad mini, my Philips Hue lights, my Nanlite Pavo tubes, and the rest of my studio lights. They're all connected to my iPad mini, which functions as a central hub. It sits on this wireless charging stand by Pitaka that I absolutely love. It comes with a charging case that plugs into the iPad mini's USB-C port, and that relays the charging to the smart connectors on the back of the charging case. So all I have to do to charge this mini is snap it onto the stand. Once all the lights are on, I take it off the stand and into the studio for me to use. The only device I use more than this iPad mini 6 will be my 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Max chip that sits on the desk behind me, simply because that's where I do the bulk of my work to keep my businesses running. But even then, my iPad mini will be right by my side where I use it for all kinds of things, whether it's a Pomodoro timer if I want to focus, or just to take quick notes during work or calls. Speaking of taking notes, this is where the iPad mini really shines. In my opinion, it's the perfect size iPad for taking handwritten notes. It's about the same size as a standard notepad, and unlike the regular iPad, this iPad mini is fully compatible with a 2nd gen Apple Pencil. Even the brand new iPad 10 is still stuck on that fossil of a pencil that is called the Gen 1, with its lightning connector. Mind you, the Gen 10 iPad doesn't even have a lightning port, but that's for another video. I did do a first impressions video on the iPad 10, by the way, in case you're interested. Anyway, this is a great device for note-taking. I love to use my favorite app Notability to take my handwritten notes, because this app allows me to record while taking my handwritten notes, so that when I revisit my notes, I can actually hear what was being said at that exact time where I was taking them. Now, unfortunately, it does use the same glass as all the other iPads, which makes it a bit of a challenge to keep your handwriting neat and legible. Which is why I put a Paperlike on all of my tablets, and thank you so much to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. For the 2 people in the back that don't know Paperlike yet, Paperlike is a matte screen protector that does a couple of things to improve our user experience with these iPads. Number one, it reduces glare and fingerprints, kind of like the nanostructure on the Apple Studio displays. Number two, it protects your iPad screen from any nasty scratches. And of course, last but not least, the coarse structure of the matte screen protector gives a certain resistance to the Apple Pencil, which mimics the feeling of writing on actual paper. So instead of slipping and sliding all over the glass surface, you now have more control over the pencil when writing, sketching, or drawing. The one gripe some people had with the original Paperlikes was that it made the screen appear a bit grainy. So Paperlike went back to the drawing board and improved their nanodots technology, and as a result, we now have Paperlike 2.1 that delivers all the good stuff the previous versions did, but does it while retaining much more of the screen brightness and clarity. Every order comes with 2 Paperlikes and the application accessories. If you want to try it out for yourself, there's a link in the description. Now, don't think this tablet is only good for note-taking. For some reason, a lot of people always assume that the iPad mini, maybe because it's so small, is a lesser tablet with lower-end specs. Make no mistake, this little guy is no joke. Don't think of it as a small version of the Gen 9 iPad. It absolutely kills the Gen 9. The iPad mini is more like a shrunken down version of the iPad Air 4, and in some ways, like the camera department, it's even better than the Air. It's rocking the A15 Bionic chip, it has a 6-core CPU, a 5-core GPU, and a 16-core neural engine. Combine that with the 4 gigs of RAM, it has plenty of power to handle most things you throw at it. It's great for editing photos, you can edit 4K videos on this thing, no problem, and it even does a really great job as a gaming device. This might not be the most powerful of the iPads, but in my opinion, it's absolutely perfect for mobile gaming. I mean, games for iPadOS are getting better and better, and some of them are getting awfully close to being console quality. Back when I was reviewing this thing, I tested a couple of games from pretty light stuff like Sonic Racing, all the way to absolute hogs like Genshin Impact, and I was actually surprised at how well the Mini handles a heavy game like Genshin. I remember when we were all reviewing the M1 iPad Pro when it just came out. In my case, it was the 16 gig version, and Genshin Impact was like the test to see how powerful those new iPads really were. So to see this tiny little iPad playing it just fine, it's pretty amazing. Oh, and as you can see, you can hook up something like the PS5 DualSense controller, which makes for a fantastic gaming experience. Needless to say that this tablet is also great for reading. It's about the same size as most Kindles, and not that heavy either. I like to read books on here and make some annotations as I go. Okay, so it's good for note-taking, for reading, and for mobile gaming. But can you actually use this tablet to get some work done? Absolutely. Now, granted, Apple doesn't make a magic keyboard for this thing, but would you really want that? I mean, just thinking about typing on such a small keyboard makes my hands cramp. If you want to take it with you for meetings, I would recommend using a low profile stand like this Compass Pro by 12 South. You just put your iPad mini in there and then use whatever, Bluetooth keyboard you like. And I do actually bring this with me for business meetings more than my iPad Pro. The thing is, with the iPad Pro, because it's so big, especially when it's attached to the Magic Keyboard, it forms a barrier between you and the person when it's sitting like this. Whereas the iPad mini, I can easily whip that out, take some notes, nobody would bat an eye or get distracted. Lastly, because of its weight and small profile, it's the perfect travel companion. I took it with me on our trip to New York this summer, and I gave myself a little challenge by leaving my phone in the hotel room and using only my iPad mini. And I have to say, it was kind of liberating. I'm still contemplating, by the way, whether I should use that footage to create a little day in a life video of that trip. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in. So guys, as you can see, it's a super fun, useful little tablet that still packs quite a punch in 2022, and I would definitely recommend this tablet over the regular iPad and probably even over the iPad Air. It's just so darn convenient, and if you shop around a bit, I'm sure you can find some great deals at third-party retailers. So guys, let me know in the comments if you would consider buying this thing, or maybe you already did. In that case, I'd be super interested to hear how you use this thing in your daily life. If you liked the video, please get one of these. It really does help the channel. Subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.